Welcome to another Thursday night YouTube Live with independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator Teresa Harper. I'm located in Oregon in the United States. Thanks so much for being here. I'm so happy to see you tonight. I have a fun project for you, and we are going to be using the Gingerbread Man photopolymer stamp set and the coordinating dies. And then we're going to make a box. So let's go ahead and get the comments going and see who's on. And then we will get started. Let me turn off the speaker so we don't get double feedback. All right. Hello, Tracy. Thanks for joining me. Okay. I was talking to Suzanne on the phone and looked at the clock and went, oh my gosh, I got 4 minutes. So scramble. Hello, Laura. Thanks for being here. All right. So we made a cute little gingerbread treat box on Tuesday on YouTube for the live. And this is that box. Stands up. Okay. Holds some of the Werther's gingerbread caramels. And of course, there's a lot of other things that you can put in there as well. Hershey's Kisses, Rolos, Dove Promises, anything that's small like that. And if you missed that video, you can catch it on my Facebook channel, or I did post the replay over here on YouTube yesterday morning, so you could go back and find it there. All right, so then I decided that I needed to make another box that would fit the Little Debbie Christmas gingerbread soft cookies. Okay, the box that I made Tuesday wasn't big enough, and I couldn't figure out how to make a box big enough that the sides of the box wouldn't stick out around the gingerbread guy, and I didn't want it to look messy. So I did a whole nother box, and this box will also hold a gift card. So you can throw a gift card in as well as your cookie. And let's go ahead, and we're just going to jump right in and get started. Okay, so we've got minimal supplies here. I've done some of the die cutting ahead of time just to save us some time. We're going to start by stamping our gingerbread guy. And just so you know, I did already stamp him and emboss him, but I'm going to show you how that goes real quick. Just for anybody who hasn't seen embossing and needs to see that. So I've already got my gingerbread man here on my stamp positioner tool. And you don't necessarily need that. He will fit on, no, he won't. You got to go with block F, and that thing is huge, and there's just no way I can make that work. So that's why I'm using a stamp positioning tool. Just too much for my hands to hold. This is so much easier for me. So I'm going to go ahead and take my embossing buddy. This comes in the Embossing Additions Toolkit, and you can purchase any of these supplies I'm using tonight on my website, in my online store, and I did put a link in the video. I will put a link in the video below, in the description of this video. Okay? So we've got that, and I use my embossing buddy, and that's just going to make sure that I don't get any stray powder where I don't want it. So we're going to move this over, and I'm going to ink up my gingerbread man in Versamark watermark ink. This is a sticky ink, that holds the embossing powder. So we are just going to ink that up really well. Oops. And then there I touch, here, get this out of the way. That way it won't be moving on me. And I touched it, so I need to go back and put some more powder on here just to make sure that I don't have any fingerprints or oils from my hand that will catch the powder where I don't want it. So I'm just going to give that a good little rub. Always a good sign when it sticks to your paper. And I'm going to set this aside because we are done with that. And then I'm going to bring in my Embossing Additions toolkit. I've got my Wow Opaque Bright White embossing powder. Oh, I don't know why I put that Versamark away. Hang on. I almost forgot to put his face on. That would be pretty terrible. So we need to grab this Versamark ink again, and that will stay wet for a while, so we don't have to be in a super big rush. And I'm just going to put his little face on here, and then I'm going to put some hair on him. And now he is ready. I could have done it later, his face and stuff, but it's a little bit harder to do, and then you have to worry about your embossing powder getting too hot and going dull on you. So if I just do it all at once, then I don't have to worry about it. And I've got plenty of time to do that. So now I'm just going to take the back of it and give it just a slight little flick. And that's going to take off any excess powder. And if I have any left, I'm just going to use my little brush here like that. Okay, I like to use a coffee filter. You can not do this and then just pour it into the tray, and there is a spout right here in the tray that you can just funnel everything down into and get that back into your jar. But I find it easier to just do it this way. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so then we just take a heat tool, and for this, we warm it up, and then I like to heat from the back just until I see that go shiny. And you can see it turning there. And we just keep moving our tool, okay, until that is all shiny. Now I'm going to set this aside because you don't need to watch the whole thing. And I already have this one done. Okay, and for this one, I actually used the winky face, not the round eyes. So we're just going to take this then, and I'm going to cut this because I need this cut out. There is a die, and you can cut it with the die, but the die is a double. It's a double die so that it's made so that you can make a card and fold it over. And then that gives you a little bit of a flat space here, and then you've got to try and round it. For this particular one, I don't want to do that. So I'm just going to fussy cut it. But if you hate fussy cutting, by all means, grab that set of dies, line up one of them with your gingerbread man and cut it out. Okay. You do have several choices of eyes in this bundle. And you can choose to stamp them, or you can die cut them out, because there are dies that will cut the faces out for you so that you can have a 3D effect and or you can do them in whatever colors you wish to. Okay, so I'm just gonna finish this up real quick. And then we're going to take that, and that is our little gingerbread guy, all ready to go. Okay, now ahead of time, I took a piece of basic white cardstock and garden green cardstock. I stacked these together. Just make sure that you put the corners together. And then there is a lollipop die right here. I can get this to lift up. Here we go. And then you just want to take and lay this down here. And run that through your die cut machine. Okay. And then you'll have these pieces here to make this cute little lollipop. Okay. In addition, you'll want to take a piece of real red cardstock and the bow right here, and you'll run that through, and then you'll get these 3 pieces for the bow. Okay, so we've got that, and then you should have enough of this cardstock left that you can stamp the little gumdrops in garden green. Okay, so for this particular application on how I did it, you're going to need 3 sets of these because I'm only using the small ones. So we'll just do 3 of those. And I'm going to line that back up and give that a press down there and finish filling that in. It's photopolymer, so I can do that. And then you have 2 sets of the gumdrop dies. So you would line 2 of those up, and you would have to get them a little further apart, but you can cut 2 sets at a time if you stamp them far enough apart. Okay, so with that, then I'm going to use 3 of the small gumdrops. Okay, so those are our pieces for our box. Okay, and those are the pieces that we're going to need. So let's go ahead and put our box together. We'll set these pieces aside. We need a piece of cardstock that is 6 inches by 8 inches. Now you can use regular weight cardstock, or you can save on your cardstock and do like I did and use the 2-tone. Okay, because I can get 2 out of a 12 by 12 piece of paper and still have a nice chunk left over to work with, where if I use an 8.5 by 11, I can only cut 1. Hi, Cynthia. Thanks for joining. So we're going to take this piece of real red cardstock, and I'm using the darker of the 2 tones. And I'm going to take my scoring tool. You can do this on your trimmer, but I prefer the scoring tool. So I'm going to score on the 6-inch side at 1/2 inch and 1 inch, and then I'm going to rotate it 180 degrees and score at 1/2 inch and 1 inch. Then I'm going to turn to the 8-inch side, and I'm going to score at 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 4 inches, 4.5 inches, and 7.5 inches. Okay, So again, 1/2 inch, 1 inch, rotate 180, 1/2 inch, 1 inch. That's on the 6-inch side. On the long side, you'll score at 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 4 inches, 4.5 inches, 7.5 inches. Okay? Now let's go ahead and fold and burnish and trim our box. And this is going to have reinforced sides so that we have a nice sturdy box. So we'll just fold and burnish on all of these score lines. Okay. So this section here on the short side that has 2 skinny score lines, this is going to be the front of our box. And this piece here that is the single skinny up here, this is the top flap. Okay, so bottom of the box, top of the flap, and this is going to fold over, right? So we're going to go ahead and start trimming. So I'm going to go on the long sides and I'm going to cut vertically up to the second score line on all of these scores. On the long rectangles, I'm going to cut to the outside of the score line on each side, okay? And I'm going to do that with all of my vertical cuts, okay? When I get down here, I've got 2 skinny little slats here. I'm going to take and cut these 2 completely off, and I'm going to do a slight angle cut right there and take that off. Then I'm going to come in and cut off the outside square. Okay, working my way up, the center one, I'm just going to cut off the outside square. And I'm going to do the same thing at the top here. I'm just going to cut off that outside square. Okay. Then I'm going to move to the long side that has the double skinnies. And again, I'm going to cut up on all of the vertical score lines. If there's a rectangle, I'm going to cut up the rectangle. Now for here, on this double flap, I'm going to slightly angle that, and then I'm going to remove this outside square, okay, so that I have a glue tab. Moving again, cut up on the vertical, cut up on the vertical, then I'm going to cut off the outside square, and here I'm going to cut up on the vertical and cut off the outside square, okay? Now all of these little squares are going to be glue tabs, so I'm going to go back and angle cut on both sides so that I have a wedge shape when I'm done. And that just allows the box to fold a little nicer and ensures that I don't have edges of my flaps, my glue tabs sticking up. Okay, so we're just going to wedge all of those out. All right. So far, this is what our box looks like. Okay. And here is our template. So we'll put that template there for just a minute. You can take a screenshot if you like. And then this is going to line up with our template. Okay? Now remember, the two long skinnies are going to be the front fold over tab. Okay? And so you don't get confused, I'm going to go ahead right now and I'm going to take some tear and tape. And I'm going to put tear and tape along this edge. Okay, so that's just going to get glued down. And then I'm going to put tear and tape on these four outside long edges. I'm not putting any adhesive on here. So let's go ahead and add these outside adhesive strips. Now remember, I'm on the inside of the box here. That is very important. Putting our adhesive on the inside of the box. Outside rectangles here. Okay. And that's what's going to give us our reinforced box right there. Okay, so with tear and tape, you definitely want to go back and burnish that into your paper so that it sticks really well. And that way your box won't come apart. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and use my Take Your Pick tool, and I'm going to remove that piece of tear and tape on the double front. And I'm just going to go ahead and glue that down. Okay, so now I know this is the front of my box. This is the top of my box. It's just a single. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to come in here and I'm going to mark this with my score tool at the 2-inch mark. So I'm just going to put a little divot in there with my score tool. And then I'm going to take a 3/4 inch circle punch. Stampin' Up! Does not currently sell these. We used to, but we don't have them anymore. You can find one on Amazon or at a local craft store. And I'm just going to take a partial circle here. Try to center up that dot. And then I'm going to give that a little punch so that I have this little partial finger notch. You want to make sure you don't go too far because you don't want to destroy the top of your box there. Okay, so now that we have that done, we're going to work on the bottom 4 flaps here. So I'm going to put glue on the outside of these. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Put a little glue here on these 4 tabs. Okay. And then I'm going to take and fold that tab down and fold the bottom of my box up over and match that cut edge to the score line. And I'm going to hold that for just 1 second because I use liquid glue. Now you could use whatever here because you don't need to worry about whether this is really going to hold. You just need it to hold for a minute. This is not going to really be the securing for your box. Okay, so we're just going to hold that for a second until it stays in place. And then I'm going to go back and I'm going to remove this tear and tape backing on the bottom of the box here where I just put those tabs in. And then I'm going to fold this side in over those tabs I just glued in place. And I'm going to repeat that on this side. Okay. So we just remove that tape and then fold that in over those tabs. Give that a good burnish. That way my tabs are tucked neatly inside. I've got a nice, clean, finished inside. And then we're going to work on the top of our box. And we're basically going to do the same thing. I'm going to put some liquid glue here and liquid glue here. I'm going to fold that tab in and bring up that cut line to the score line. Hold that for 1 second. And then I'm going to repeat it on the opposite side. Okay. And again, I'm going to remove the tear and tape backing piece here and fold that in over that tab and do the same on the opposite side. And fold that in, and then we'll give those to a good burnish with our bone folder to ensure that that tear and tape really adheres. Now, this is the top of my box, and I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut just a little wedge from the outside to the corner, and again on the opposite side from the outside edge to the corner. Okay, and that's just going to give me a nice clean fold here so that this corner doesn't get stuck here. Okay, so then this will fold right over the top of my box, just like so. And I've got that finger notch finger notch that I can put my thumbnail in and then easily open the top of my box. Okay, so let's go ahead. Let's put our little gingerbread cookie in here. And you could throw in a gift card if you wanted to. And stick this in here. And you have to make these a little bit bigger than the cookie because of the air in the packaging. Okay? If you don't, then your cookie won't fit. Okay, so we've got that. And I put my cookie in upside down for how I like it. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that around because I want this to open on the right side. And then we're going to start decorating. Okay, so I've taken a piece of the tags, Christmas tags and more designer series paper. This was given to me by my friend Tracy, and she challenged me to use it. So here I am using it. This particular piece is 2 7/8 inch by 3 7/8 inch. So you can get enough, you can get 2 out of 1 sheet of 6 by 6, which is exactly what I had, 1 6 by 6 sheet of this paper. So I've made 2, I'm making 2 boxes, and there is my piece. Now, we're going to bring in this gingerbread man that we cut, and you're going to see that he just does not fit. He is way too big, right? So I'm going to take, and I'm going to mark this just a little bit right here. I want to take this off right here. So I'm going to kind of look at this, and I'm going to go, oh, I want to take this off about right here. Okay? Now, in this die set, you have some, and actually this piece is not going to matter because you're not really going to see that, but it is going to matter on the feet. So I'll show you on the feet. This piece doesn't really matter, but we need to take this off down here. So we're going to take this off about right here and about right here. So I'm just going to mark that a little bit. Okay. And then we're going to bring in our mini cut and emboss machine. And I'm going to hope he fits in here. I think he will. Yep, I've got it. Okay. And hopefully this is going to work. Otherwise, we'll grab the Big Boss. Okay, so we should be able to put this in here like this. Okay, and then I need to look at that, and hopefully this is going to work. Where is that line? So I'm going to put this across that line, this little cut right here. And I'm going to tape that down just so it doesn't move on me. Might make that just a little bit shorter just to ensure I've got what I need. Okay, and then can I do 2 at a time? I don't know. Maybe. Okay, let's do that. And let's cut that. And we'll put that in. And we'll cut that off. Just going to roll that right through. And now we've cut off those pieces that won't fit. Okay, let's put these on a magnet so they don't go away. Let's bring back in our box. Make sure we've got that so it's going to work how we want it. Okay, now with this piece, because it's not going to show, I'm just going to take this and give it a tear. Okay, now that I've got that done, I want some cookie crumbles on here. So I'm going to take the cookie crumble stamp from the Gingerbread Man. And I'm going to stamp some cookie crumbles on here, just so it looks like it left behind some crumbs. Okay, and if you get some on your embossing, just wipe it off. It's called Emboss Resist, and the ink won't stay, so we just wipe that off. All right, now this is ready to go. But before we put this on, we're going to take some real red and white baker's twine. And I'm going to leave myself enough tail to tie a bow here. However much I think I need there. Maybe a little bit more. Yep, I think that should be enough, maybe. Okay, and then I'm going to wrap this a couple of times around his neck. Okay, and then we're going to bring this and tie it. And I'm going to tie it over here on the left. Okay, I'm going to try and keep that taut because I don't want a floppy bow. If you need a little help, you can use the tweezers from the Embossing Editions kit, which I might actually do just to make sure that doesn't go anywhere. Just take your reverse tweezers and tie up that bow, pull your tweezers out, and then I'm going to hold on to the center of that bow, the knot, and I'm going to pull until I finagle that down to the size I want. Okay, there we go. I'm happy with that. Let's give that a nice trim. Trim that just a titch. Okay, so now we've got this. Let's go ahead and put our bow together and put that on. So we're going to take this bow and I'm going to get some Wink of Stella. Because who doesn't want a sparkly head bow? Okay, so we've got that. And then we're going to take a spot of glue here, not that one because that one hurts my thumbs right now. We're just going to put just a dot of glue here. If this is going to work, come on. Oh, of course it had to do a blowout. Okay, then we're just going to take and sop that up a bit. Let's try that again. Just a tiny bit this time. And then I'll grab my Take Your Pick tool and the bow piece. And I have found this rounded edge here goes to the right. So we're going to put this right here like that. Okay. If I've got any excess, I'm just going to wipe that off. Okay, then we're going to take a glue dot and stick that down. Take my tweezers. We're going to put this right up here at the top, like so. And then I'm going to go ahead and put this on with dimensionals. I've got this one sheet that has like, I don't know, 6 or 7 half mini dimensionals that I should probably just get rid of. But it might come in handy for something, so I don't. Okay, and I want one right up here in the center. Okay, now you might think that's overkill, and for you it might be, but I want mine to stay on. So I don't mind. You get 300 of those dimensionals in a pack, and I'm just gonna use them. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and put this on here like this. And it's okay if it hangs over just a titch. I'm okay with that. Okay, so we've got that. Now let's do our sentiment piece. I'm going to take a piece of scrap white here. And we are going to take the words "Oh Snap" and some real red ink. And actually, before I do that, I'm just going to cut this out. I should have pre-cut this, and I did not, and I should have. Sorry about that. So let's take our die. This is also from the Gingerbread Man set. And we're going to just slip this in here. Actually, I'm just going to use this one because it'll work. And I'm going to cut that out. It's a little speech bubble that will come in handy for any card, not just a Gingerbread Man card. But there we've got our speech bubble. And then we're going to take "Oh Snap." And I'm going to look at how I want that to go here. And then I'm going to stamp that in real red. Hold that there for a second so that the ink transfers. And then I'm going to take some more Stampin' Dimensionals. This is a 3D project. I'm not mailing it, so I'm not conserving on my dimensionals. I can double stack. And then we'll just put this like this. Okay. And then the last thing that we need to, oh shoot. I did it again. Okay, let's backtrack just a minute. Where's my lollipops? What did I do with those die cuts? I covered them with my real red ink. I forgot the lollipop die cuts, you guys. Okay, let's grab these out. Let's grab these pieces. If you have trouble picking up your pieces, just take your pick tool. Okay, so I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to glue this on, and you could just glue this on and be done. I'm just going to put a couple of little dots, making sure that I get kind of close to that center so those parts don't pick up. I'm going to add this white pinwheel circle to my lollipop. I'm going to take my green swirl here and my wink of Stella. Where does the light? Oh, here it is, right here. And I'm gonna put some sparkle here. Now, of course, you don't have to add the sparkle, but I really love the sparkle, and I really love the wink of Stella. It goes on so nicely and makes such a nice little accent. Okay, so now I'll pick that up. I'll put a dot of glue at the end of each one, and then one in the center. And then I'm just going to fit these right inside there. Now, do you have to do that? No, you don't. You could just leave that, but I want the green in there. And I could just do this, but that's not what I wanted. This is what I wanted, so this is what I'm doing. And really, I should have put this on before I put on my gingerbread guy. I did my other one just like this because sometimes I do things the hard way instead of the easy way. So I'm going to make sure I don't have a dimensional where I don't want it. And I do. And let's slide this in here. Hang on. I'm going to reach in here and I'm going to roll that off. With my finger, I'm just rolling it. Okay, and it doesn't matter if it rips anything because nobody's going to see back here. And then I can put this in exactly where I want it, like that. And then I'll just take another dimensional. I'm going to take the backing off first, and then I'll just pick that up, slide it back in there, like so. And now I've got my lollipop there. And all we have left are our gumdrops. So let's bring in our gumdrops, which again are going to need some wink of Stella. At least on the top, so it looks like they have sugar up there. Yeah, what the heck, I'm just going to do the whole thing. They should all look delicious. Tasty, sugary, yum. Okay, now let's go ahead and put these on glue dots. Let's pick them up with my take your pick tool, put them on the glue dot. And then I'll take my glue dot. And, oh, wait a minute, one of these needs a, I'm going to put one here. One of these needs a mini glue dot. we're just going to stick this right here in the armpit there of the gingerbread guy. And then I'm going to stick my gumdrop there so that it's the same height. And then I forgot I put these on with dimensionals. A couple of them anyway. Okay, let's go. How do I want this to go? Just like that. I'm going to go ahead. Hang on. Let me pick that up. I kind of think that one needs a dimensional too. So I'm very carefully going to give that a twist. Add that dimensional. And put that right there like that. Okay, and that is our box. Okay, so this is what we have. This is our project for tonight. Let's go ahead. I'm going to stick this over the top here. I don't want to hide my sentiment, but I want my bow not to be hiding away. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and trim those up a little bit more. And I like to trim them together so they're about the same length. So I'm just going to grab those together and trim. Okay. All right, everybody, that's what I have for you tonight. I hope you enjoyed that project with the Gingerbread Man bundle. Thank you, Tracy. I do love how that came together, and I'm sure that whomever receives these boxes will be thrilled to death. So thanks so much for watching tonight. I appreciate you. I plan to be back live Tuesday night on my YouTube channel or my Facebook channel with a couple of projects. I'm not sure where we're going with that, but and we definitely will not be live on YouTube next Thursday because it's Thanksgiving. So I will not be live that night. And I will see you again soon. If you liked the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already subscribed, go ahead and do that and hit the notification bell so that you'll know every time I go live and or upload a video. Any of the items can be purchased in my online store. You will find a link to my online store in the description below. Thank you. Good night.